Well, welcome to another episode of Rim Shots with Sean, brought to you by Barstools and Bandtalk right here on the Rock Rage Radio Network. And it's that time again, kids. No official name. We'll go with Curtain Call Corner for now. We have Mando from the Recasts all the way from San Antonio, Texas. Sir, thank you for doing this.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. Really excited to be on. I always appreciate the opportunity.
Well, and I'm learning a lot about different artists on Curtain Call. I mean, the label really is a diverse swath of different sorts of, music. There's not one particular genre. They cover a bunch of things. I'm going to take a little bit of a stab at what I heard out of you guys. I heard some Pantera in there. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that quite a bit. There is some Pantera. Of course, you're going to have some of that Texas influence, stuff that we all grew up on, even though we're kind of all scattered from where we're originally from. You definitely hear a lot of that, a lot of the bands that we play with and stuff like that. So, and, Pantera was amazing when we were growing up. So you're going to hear that. Absolutely.
Well, so here's what I'm hearing out of you as a vocalist, right? Because I mean, I always find with that particular genre, I mean, guys can sing, but they kind of flex their vocal muscles, right? They almost sound like they're going to start screaming, but they don't quite scream, and they almost sound like they're going to go with, people call that Cookie Monster type metal, and they don't quite go there. Diverse, I guess, is the best way to put it. Who were some of your influences when you were coming up?
Yeah, no, absolutely. You kind of hit the nail on the head there. It's kind of existing within the realm, right, and kind of giving different spectrums of capabilities there. But some of my influences, Lenny Kravitz was really my earliest influence. I remember walking across my cousin's living room and seeing Let Love Rule play on MTV when I was like 5 years old, and just the it was so different from everything else that was going on, and I didn't understand that all the complexities and stuff and what he was doing, the different genres that he was kind of putting together, that I would grow to appreciate as I grew as a musician. But of course, him, you got some Rob Zombie, James Hetfield, Danny Worsnop, a lot of that kind of stuff. Lemmy, of course, not a lot of people talk about, how good of a frontman, and even though he didn't have, a lot of capabilities that he showcased as a vocalist, he was really steady. He drove the ship. He steered everybody along. He got everybody from one place to the next. And then that's important. It's important to be able to manage the stage from the front.
So Lemmy to me, and I'll throw it out there, and some people have been said to me, nah, but Lemmy to me was like Phil Lynott, right? Never reached probably the success they should have. However, everybody knew them. They were revered. They were thought of as basically our peers, and now that they're gone, immortal. And I can tell you, I visited Phil Lynott's grave last summer, and you go to Ireland in Dublin, he's more thought of than any musician that's ever come out of there. It's incredible.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So those are great, in my opinion, they're great people to bring up because it really sets the tone, I think, for what you guys are trying to do. You're trying to be a little different while, hitting the genre. Because correct me if I'm wrong. I don't mean to ramble here, but sometimes some of that music, it's tough to kind of separate yourself from the pack, right? Because it's,
I agree.
It all, I don't want to say it all sounds the same, but it can sound the same.
Yeah, yeah. When we bring a new musician in, they always try. The first thing they always try to do is emulate. Like if we recorded a song with somebody else, to have them play it, they immediately try to. Am I playing it the right way? And I always tell them, you play it like you. There's a reason why you're here. We want you to bring what you have to this band. So don't play it like somebody else played it. I want you to play it like you. If the live crowd wants to hear the song the way somebody else played it, or if they want to hear it just like the record, they'll put the record on. They're here for a live show, so let's give them one.
I love that because I often get into conversations with people about, the recorded version, and people are like, that's it. If you don't do it note for note, and that was maybe one take of many on that particular day the song was recorded.
Right. And with the backtracking and all that kind of stuff that happens, today. It can sound great and all that stuff. However, there's been touring bands where their rig goes down, their backtracking rig and all that kind of stuff, it goes down, so they cancel the tour. That's crazy to me because you're supposed to be a musician. They're there for a live show. You got to give them one. I always kind of give the example of when somebody comes to a live show, they may take 10-15%, maybe 20% of what they made from their paycheck to go see you, finding a babysitter, drinks, merchandise, all that good stuff, and time, of course, time also. And so you owe them a great show. No matter what's going on in your life or anything like that, your responsibility as a musician is to give them a great show. So that's what you should do no matter what else is going on. That person is valuable. That person is important. So let's give them one.
So it's interesting you bring it up because you bring up a few things. And first, the backing tracks. And I mean, that to me is an argument or a topic of discussion that I think has been done to death. And I'm glad you brought it up in the way that you did. But the part that you bring up that I really is this whole thing about giving somebody a show, because I find music now at certain levels doesn't get that show. Like if you're, kind of playing in a bar band and you're trying to get somewhere, but you're just showing up and, wearing a ball hat and, or, not to dump on people, but you're just showing up and kind of going through the motions to get money. And I find sometimes that you go in and you see bands that are very capable, but they're like watching paint dry.
That's true. That's
Right.
true. When you're a band, like I do this, I do have a regular job and stuff like that also, but this is what I do every day. And, I think we owe it to the people who invest their time into your band. You owe it to them for you to know what you're supposed to do, to know the capabilities of your equipment, to know the venue that you're going to be playing at, what kind of gear you need for you to sound the best for them, for the end user, for the crowd. And I think if you're not prepared enough for the show, you're really doing everybody a disservice. So you should be on time. You should show up early. You should stay late. You should hang out with the crowds. You should pump up the other bands. You should give them some light. You should be at your merch booths all the time. I can't tell you how crazy it makes me when I see a band's merch booth and it's empty. There's nobody there. The band's not there. There's no person standing there. I'm like, guys, if I'm a fan and I see your merch booth empty, I ain't going over there. If you're not investing the time, I ain't going to invest my time either.
So you bring up something that that I've thought, and this is a personal opinion, and I'll sign my name to that check. And if anybody wants to disagree, that's fine. But I think sometimes there's an indifference to music and an indifference to musicians, and I think it's because the musicians bring it on themselves by how they present themselves. So to your point, nobody at a merch booth. What is welcoming about that? What is saying, buy something from me? You know what I mean? It's just kind of it takes the whole sparkle out of that side of the business.
Right. Yeah. Again, I've said it, but the experience, right, for the person who's going to the show, it should be fun. I really enjoy when a parent takes like their teenage kid or even a small kid, right? I love doing all ages shows, and they take their kid to the show and they feel comfortable enough to bring their kid to one of my shows, one of our shows, and I'll usually bring them on stage, take a picture with them, take them to meet the guys or whatever, because the scene is going to need more people to come. This eventually, things happen in your life if you're a show goer where you may not go anymore as much as you need to, and we have to be stewards. We have to be good stewards of the community, because the recast ain't always going to be here. But hopefully the impact of what we've done will linger for a while for other people to be able to take that and to continue that good experience for folks who are coming to the show, for the young and the old. We should all be able to have a good time together.
Yeah, I look, I like that, because a big frustration for me is when you kind of see that mail it in factor where it's I played a show yesterday and it was a fill-in show, and it was a lot of fun. I was playing with a couple of guys that I've played with before, but everybody was having fun on stage, and I think the audience picked up on that. And to go there and go through the motions and look like you don't want to be there, and you're kind of, staring off into space. It doesn't take a lot to put an effort in to give somebody something, especially when they're paying money to see it.
Exactly. Exactly. I really like to think of the shows. They're not about us. They're about what we're bringing to the table. I was able to give I know it's not his name, but I was able to give Baby Yoda Nux from the stage one time. From from probably a kid that was probably 6 or 7 years old who was in the front.
Nice.
Right in the front. So from a guy who has kids, and I've got some small kids and some older kids, but from a dad. Being able to do that, for another man's child, for me to be able to give them that experience, it really means a lot. But you can insert X person from whatever age range, and being able to give them that experience, I mean, us as people, that's just great, man. How are you going to replace that, right?
Absolutely. Shifting gears just a little bit. So Brian sent me a couple of your tunes, and production values were great. Are you a self-produced band?
I'm sorry.
Are you a self-produced band? Do you produce yourself?
No, 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 no. So we kind of we do write all the stuff ourselves and all that kind of stuff. But we met this great guy around the time that we did the Devastator EP. His name is Fernando Limas. He's at FL Recordings. He's local here in San Antonio. He's a prodigy, man. Being able to work with him, he brings out, and I can't overstate this. He brings out the best in us as a band. He understands what message we're trying to push across. He understands our strengths. He understands our weaknesses. And then as we're doing the recording there with him in the studio, the guy just maximizes all that potential in a ball of energy, and man, he nails it. So we've been going to him ever since the Devastator EP, everything that we've done. And the new stuff we have coming up, we're going to be hitting the studio in January. Everything that we have done since then has all been Fernando Limas. He's done the videos. He did the producing of the tracks and all that. So great guy, great person. He was recently like the drummer of Line at the Gates. So insanely talented musician, insanely talented drummer, producer, the whole nine. And it's going to be hard for you to meet a better person in general.
I'm a drummer myself, and I love being produced by drummers, and I love being live mixed by drummers because I know that I'm going to sound good. And the thing that I really like is that if I'm having a good day, they don't say anything because they know, and I know. If I'm
Right.
having a bad day, they don't go off the rails. But they'll say, "Hey, you're not feeling," and they'll offer some kind words, and those are the good ones because obviously I've done shows too where people kind of want to see you fail, and that's fine. In terms of live play and whatnot, not knowing your scene, how often do you guys get to go out and throw this music at people and have them hear it?
Sorry, say that again.
How often do you get to take this music out and play it live?
Oh yeah, man. Really, as often as we can, we try to not oversaturate our market, and not just from a business perspective, but we want to give people really good shows. So whether we're locally or, whether we're traveling out, in a different city or a different state or whatever, we really try to make sure that the show that we're going to put on is going to be worth it. And whether the door charge is going to be free or 20 or more, we just want to make sure that the show and the environment is going to be great. So, for example, we have one show that's going to be coming up in San Antonio in February, and we're really pushing to make sure that that show is going to be great. It's local. We may have, between maybe a show in San Antonio every 2 or 3 months, but just to make sure that it's a good show. And it's not that we don't want to put on more shows or whatever. We do see bands that go out every week and stuff, but these guys that are supporting you, it takes a lot, man. We talked about it earlier. It takes a lot for folks to be able to go to a show. and you really want to give them the best experience. So, in saying that, 2025 is looking like it's going to be our busiest show in our history. We've been discussing some tours and some festival dates, as well as some shows locally in San Antonio that you'll be able to catch us, and in our neighboring cities like San Marcos and Houston and Austin, Dallas and stuff like that. So we're definitely going to be getting out as much as we can, but keeping the showgoers and the venues, of course, in mind as well. So
something that drives me bananas, and I mean, I have a podcast, I play, I record, I do different things, but I also promote. And something that that really kind of irks me is when I hear bands say it's not my job to promote a show, it's the venue's job, or it's the promoter's job. And I always say, no, I would never want to leave my fate up to somebody else. If somebody wants to help, great, but I'm going to be in the middle of it. What's your take on that, Mando?
Oh, you said it, man. I think if you have your hands in that cookie jar at all, in any form or fashion, it's your responsibility to make sure the show goes great. And if you feel like it's not your job, well, okay, but you also can't complain if nobody goes and pays attention to you either, because I think that's kind of that's not really the attitude to have. It's more of an individualistic view of what you have going on. So if you're only worried about going and performing somewhere, and if you don't care about how the show goes, and then okay, I understand. But not to me. To me, I think it's everybody's responsibility. I think it's the venue owner, it's the booker. I think it's the guys who are working that night. If you're a bartender and you're working at a venue, you probably want more people to be there. Share that flyer, man. Get your tips, bro. If you're a band, the more people that are there, the more people are going to see you. If you're hyping up another band, for example, their fans may come across you and like you as well, and it grows the scene. So I think it's everybody's responsibility, in my opinion. If you were there and you have videos or pictures or whatever of anybody, of showgoers who were there, people with the bands and all that kind of stuff, share those pictures, man. Tag everybody, everybody who was there. Not everybody that I don't like that either.
Yeah.
But tag the people who were there. Share the experience, man. It's a good time.
All right, sir. Last question. My viewers, my listeners, they want to find out more about you, yours. Where do they go? Where do you send them?
Oh, we are everywhere. All right. We're on every social media site, Facebook, Instagram, even YouTube, TikTok, X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. All of our music is on every platform. So however you intake music, wherever you are in the world, you'll be able to find us. Just type in The Recast. If you can't find us on anything, message us on any platform. We will help you out and make sure that we connect with you on whatever platform that you'd like. But we are everywhere. As one of the things that we say at our shows as well, never feel like you're alone. You can always get a hold of us at any time, with anything that's going on. If you feel like you have nobody in the world, I guarantee you always have the 5 Recasts in your corner.
I love it. Mando, or if you were up here in Canada, we call you Mando because we get that whole, little crazy accent. But I want to thank you for doing this, my friend. All the best for the holidays. We'll stay in touch and see what 2025 looks like.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it. I love being on. Hopefully we can do it again soon. God bless.
We will. Back on the Rock Rage Radio Network after this.